Air, Water, Love is an exhibition of 8 women artists developed for the Chinese Cultural Centre as an important contribution to support International Women's Day in Sydney. This is the second exhibition by the China Cultural Centre in Sydney, following the successful Whose Story Is This Anyway? Last year in 2020, that makes a very strong commitment to celebrating and valuing women's voices in contemporary art and to the significance of how women perceive and see the world around themselves. Air, Water, Love is a creative dialogue between Australian Chinese women artists and Australian women artists that reflect the cultural diversity of our contemporary community in Australia. More significantly, however, this year's exhibition is a critical focus on the concerns of women in relation to the very complex questions of climate change, ecology, nature, and the environment. There is no doubt today that the greatest challenge confronting humanity and the future of this planet that we live on is how we collectively will live together in harmony with the environment that sustains us. The importance of the environment and the ways that climate change affects us all and will affect our collective futures crosses all social, cultural, and political boundaries. It will affect and impact on every aspect of our lives. The global impact of climate change does not differentiate and demands that we all rethink the relationship with the planet's fragile environment, as all our actions will determine what future our planet has and how we will all live and survive in the future. The exhibition, Air, Water, Love, privileges a cross-cultural women's perspective of the crisis of climate change and how urgently we need to develop our understanding for an ecologically sustainable future that is balanced on a harmony with the environment. In redefining how we think about our environment, Air, Water, Love asks serious questions about the responsibility of all our actions in relation to the environment. These are ethical questions of individual and collective responsibility. It suggests an ethical responsibility in relation to and beyond the aesthetics of art, beyond how we value art, and that art itself is not excluded from the crisis confronting the environment. Air, Water, Love is about how women perceive this crisis of climate is affecting our future sustainabilities. Air, Water, Love suggests that art can play a vital role in how we engage the complex and serious questions of the fossil fuel industries, of fracking and of our burning rivers, of the increasing disappearance of bird species and animal species, the depletion of our fishing resources, the degradation of our lands, the melting of the ice caps, and the impact of pollution in relation to human-induced increasing temperatures on the planet. The changes are dramatic and permanent and affect us all. Artists play a critical role in recognizing the dangers of these unsettling problems created in our environment, and by acknowledging these unsettling concerns within and as an integral condition of their art practice, these artists are utilizing their art practice as a voice calling for major change in the way we live on this earth. When we think about Anza Halka's work and we look at the dioramas that she's referring to, it's almost as if we are looking at our future as incumbents in a museum of lost history. These images of Anza Halka's are frightening, beautiful aesthetically, but frightening because they clearly articulate the urgency of degradation that is confronting all mankind and all the species on this planet. In a similar way, Pamela C's work refers to the burning waters, her delicately cut Chinese paper cuts, which is an extraordinary tradition in China, right, is now utilized for a different message, the message that concerns all our futures. If the species are endangered, as fracking is endangering the species in our rivers and in our forests and in all our lands, then we need to do something about it, and something about it very soon. And similarly with Noeline Lucas, her video installation refers to lost species of birds. And I was listening to a scientist from Charles Darwin University the other day, and he shocked me that since colonisation in Australia, there has been over 100 species lost forever. In the last 5 years, we have lost another 12 species, bringing the total to 100. Out of this 100 lost species, 35 of those species lost are mammals. If everything is delicately balanced in harmony, how can you take 100 species out of the equation without upsetting this harmony, without destroying the harmony? And that is the point that we've reached today. Time is running out on us. And this is a reality. It's a reality that confronts all our industries. It confronts all our social systems and networks. It confronts the future of our children, because without clean air, without clean water, without sustainable futures, we will not have a future. We will not have industry. We will not have art museums to enjoy the aesthetics of our production. And this is the reality that these artists are warning us about. The fact that everything is so precariously and delicately balanced right now. Whatever decisions we are making now have to be environmentally sustainable. We need to reverse the damage that we have caused on this planet in order to secure a future for us all. And it is in this context, that this exhibition explores the contemporary practices of 8 women artists that at the intersection of the in-between spaces between different cultures and different identities. It's Air, Water, Love is an exhibition where Chinese women artists and Australian women artists can collectively come together to voice their concerns, to speak with each other respectfully, to understand each other's differences and different priorities in the way that we both have to collectively shape the world. As artists represented, they're all inspiring in their respective fields. And one of the things as the curator that I've attempted to make clear is to use all the disciplines of contemporary arts. So there's video art, there's sound art, there's computerized art practices, there's sculptural forms, there's painting and photography, all at the cutting edge. So these women artists are actually sort of like highly respected, and they show not only the respect for their practice, but their respect for each other. So this exhibition is about a dialogue. It's about how we share the experiences of looking at art in relation to the environmental crisis. It's about finding intersections by which we can talk with each other with dignity and respect, and to cross the cultural divides, to speak with each other rather than at each other, because our future is about collective management. It's how we all work together to understand each other, to appreciate our differences, our cultural differences, but to come together in relation to resolving the crisis that confronts our planet today. These artist stories are complex, but speak to us with generosity by inviting us to be more generous in valuing and acknowledging our differences in art and culture, particularly when it comes to the question of the environment. Their stories are women's stories from women's perspectives that seek greater understanding for connectivity between the emotional spaces that keep us separated by difference. Their work and practice speaks of the challenge of new language and of hope, whether that be in abstraction in contemporary art or in relation to the attitudes to community, environment, gender, and empathy. Collectively, whilst their work explores different issues in relation to the environment, all women stories acknowledge the hope that exists between genders and cultures and the environment.